there's actually a lot of gap, technological gap between China and as well as South Asia. So as an investors, when there's gap, so there will be sort of arbitrage opportunities, right? But for us, it's probably not so much sort of looking at the arbitrage. We're also looking from the perspective of sort of risk management side, right? So if I have a copy, or if I know that the things work, and then I sort of invest early into a market, that probably the market doesn't know, that wasn't very sure that things work, and then it will substantially reduce my risks for investing that part, right? So.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Peking University HSBC Business School Entrepreneurship Society. Today we are speaking with Mr. Joseph Lee. He is the Managing Director of Kairous Capital. So, Mr. Lee, may I ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Joseph. I'm a Malaysian. I'm running Kairous Capital. We are a regional venture capital firm. We cover China as well as Southeast Asia in the Series A to Series B type of stages. And we look at fintech, e-commerce, and digital health. These are the few key areas that we are focusing on. And I myself is actually a finance grad with experience in audit, investment, venture capital, private equity. I was about 10, 12 years in the control buyout scene, covering China as well, Southeast Asia. And then before setting up Kairous, Kairous was set up in 2015. So we are a relatively young company in our 6 years. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for the introduction. So from the website, I see that you are an investor in both China and Southeast Asia. So
Yep.
May I ask, what are the cross-border business opportunities between these two regions that excite you?
Okay. Basically, it probably starting about my, my involvement with China is almost about 20 years. So I start investing in China 04, right? So, and then of course I've seen China sort of evolve from very manufacturing based type of economy to what it is today. And because of my active involvement in China, so because I sort of visited China on a very frequent basis at certain years, almost like on a monthly basis, right? So I can actually see that technology side, the industry has actually grown quite tremendously. And so if you talk about the Asia perspective, I think probably there's no doubt that in terms of the advancement in technology by China, right? So and then you come back to Southeast Asia. So there are a lot of things that are still sort of behind China, right? Maybe if you talk about pre-COVID, even a lot of very basic infrastructure style stuff, like for example, the e-wallet, the fintech space, the whole Southeast Asia is still way behind. But of course, I think COVID accelerated the adoption of technology. So when we set up Kairous, we actually see that there's actually a lot of gap, technological gap between China and as well as South Asia. So as an investors, when there's gap, so there will be sort of arbitrage opportunities, right? But for us, it's probably not so much sort of looking at the arbitrage. We're also looking from the perspective of sort of risk management side, right? So if I have a copy, or if I know that the things work, and then I sort of invest early into a market, that probably the market doesn't know, that wasn't very sure that things work, and then it will substantially reduce my risks for investing that part, right? So I think that's the whole sort of thesis of Kairous. And of course, I think secondly is, of course, while prior to setting up Kairous, I has many involvement in China, and I also see that there's actually a need for the Chinese company to come out outside China. However, a lot of them facing sort of difficulty in doing that. I think culturally, language, and a lot of other things they are not too familiar. And so one of my tasks as investors was really helping them venture out, right? And then we went through that process of when you landed in a new place, what should be your phase 1 strategy, your phase 2 strategy, and phase 3 strategies, and also went through that phases of where you sort of made a lot of challenges and how do you overcome those kind of challenges. Yeah. So at Kairous here, we are actually sort of position ourselves as the investors of some of our Chinese company. At the same time, it's also their sort of local partner, helping them to go to market in this part of the world. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting point. When I was looking at the website, it says that Kairous Capital, don't just provide capital. Kairous Capital also adds value to your investees to increase their chances of success. So, my question is, so when overseas companies invest in Southeast Asia, you mentioned that Kairous Capital will be their sort of local partner. So may I ask more about how do you, what steps do you take to add value? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think the very natural step one will be, sort of the business development part, right? So, if you are in the digital healthcare business in China, and then you wanted to come to this part of the world, and then we'll probably connect. If most of your customers are pharmacy chains, we'll connect the pharmacy chains to you. Or if your customers are hospitals, then we'll connect hospitals or pharmaceutical companies, right? And similarly for the fintech one, if they are looking for some local partners to complete their payment network, or they need to probably cooperate with some of the banks, so we'll connect them. So those are like the business development part. Those are very natural. But in Kairous, we actually do more than that because so this is part of the sort of the overseas expansion plan. But at the same time, I think for any business to land it properly, and sometimes they might not have the local domain know-how, and if they are of a certain size already, and they do have a little bit of cash there, maybe an M&A will be a nice one, right? So and finding some local peers that is smaller than you, but they have all this local know-how. So we had actually helped our investees to do some M&A, right? Obviously, sourcing the right target is also something that we do on a daily basis because we have been looking at deals, right? And then, of course, I think the transfer of know-how, right? And sometimes things that probably work in China might not exactly work in this part of the world. So we will, sort of advise them, what works here and what doesn't work here, right? For example, I think take a very simple example is most people in China, they were using WeChat, and maybe sort of company don't quite emphasize on their sort of their website, web-based kind of stuff. But in this part, it's actually so important, and communication is via email, and then business communication is via email. So a lot of all these things, right? So the reaching out to the mass consumer is through Facebook, which is not something that the Chinese are very familiar with, and so some of all those things, right? And then of course I think for example, let's say there are certain areas of sort of exceptional type of scenario is maybe, for example, I think Malaysia and Singapore, you have a lot of talent that has the ability to speak many languages, and it is actually good to hire these group of people, and then so that you train them, they will be able to help you to penetrate the region. And for Chinese to get a senior management team that will be able to speak 3-4 languages, it will be extremely difficult, and if you find one, it will be extremely expensive, right? So some of all these teething problems when the Chinese company come out, so the local guy will be able to help a fair bit, right? So in short, many areas from the from the corporate finance side to business side to talent side. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, it certainly sounds that Kairous Capital really adds value beyond just providing capital. And I think on the point of finding people that can speak many languages, I think Malaysia is much stronger than Singapore on that from my interactions with Malaysians here in the UK. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Okay, thanks.